What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. So hey, earlier in the week I did this thing where I was like, how do I get engagement on my channel? And I'm like, I know how to do it. Post a top 25 or any sort of ranking list and people will instantly want to share their opinions with it. And you know what? We're going to repeat it. But today I'm not doing the top 25 players 25 or under. We're just doing the top 25 players in the NBA in general right now. This video is obviously my opinion. I want you guys to share your opinions down below. Obviously, this is the slow season of the NBA, and so these are the fun things to kind of talk about or just to listen to in the background while you're doing other things. But hey, after this week, when you guys are seeing this, you guys are going to see some pre-recorded content because I'll be out. You should go see my August update video if you're confused where I'll be, because I'll be out for a little bit. But we're going to have some like season preview content starting to come out, and that's going to take us up to the start of the NBA season. I'm really, really excited about it. But hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Let's get into the video. Y'all ever have those moments where you just don't feel like the brightest person in the room? I feel like that constantly every single day. And you'll see that because I made the last video I kind of constructed everything I needed for the 25 under 25 video. I did that at like 2 in the morning. This one happened at like 3:30 in the morning. So you know what? I use the exact same title slide, and guess what? It doesn't matter all that much, really, does it? Because we can still cover everything without a title slide, because we're right on to number 25, Spicy P, Pascal Siakam. Pascal had an interesting season last year. He got traded, right? And it ended up being okay for Indiana because they were probably afraid that they were going to get a rental. There was probably already talks about what kind of contract he would get and everything, and then him fitting right into their style of play and making a conference finals run solidified it. Pascal Siakam, Spicy P, coming back for a couple more years with Indiana, right? Gets his paycheck. He fit in well with the team. Makes a lot of sense. He's already been or always been a player that excels well in transition, and he went into the team that honestly was one of the best offensive teams we've seen in NBA history. Maybe it's more so like a team than more so a conglomerate of like star players, but nonetheless, they got up and down and they went far with it. They may not have really done much to the Celtics in their time there, and I know some Indiana fans will be like, oh, they were close in some of those games. The Celtics had those games like the entire time. It felt like Indiana had to go 110% to keep up with Boston's like 60% at times, but was what it was. They were still there, and we commend them for everything that they did. The Pacers are going to have an interesting season this year, though, with Benedict Mathurin coming back. You look at the team that they already had, and there's a lot of guys like Nembhard and Haliburton himself, Mathurin, obviously, like Jarris Walker, Obi Toppin, these guys that are still kind of finding themselves in the league. Are they going to get better enough to the point where they can somewhat fight Boston? I find that probably a little bit hard to believe. That team is just so loaded, but like, man, like the Spicy P edition was a really good fit, and he's one of the best we got in the league. And by the way, I'm just going to preface like this, like maybe I'll say some negative things about some of these guys, but these are the best players in basketball, at least some of them, and we'll do some honorable mentions at the end of this, but like just want to give my flowers to all these guys. They're incredible in players. Next up, 24, Tyrese Haliburton. Actually, he was involved in the last video as well, so kind of a funny thing there. Tyrese Haliburton does a lot well already, so young in his career. Another pacer, which is pretty cool to see. He's on the Olympic team this season. Great for him, right? His ball movement, his ability to space the floor, to be a guy that is really a connecting point in the offense, to be a leader on this team. Like, he does so much of them at such a young age. Like, there's obviously areas of improvement and everything, and as he starts to mature even further, because he's still a young guy, he was in our 25 under 25 video, like I said, is he going to be able to be a takeover type player? Or is that going to be something that they need to address kind of elsewhere on the team? It's really hard to tell you at the end of the day, but man, Tyrese Haliburton, for where he's at in his career already and getting that Team USA experience, you just wonder how far he can really go, man. It's incredible. Next up, Zion Williamson, another one from the last video. Here's my thing with Zion that I'll always say. If he's healthy, you can't stop him. There is nothing you can do to stop this guy. He does just about everything. Like, obviously the shooting is what it is, but dude does so much. Obviously the physical dominance is just there in every single capacity, right? There's just nobody that can do what he does on the floor, from his like level of explosiveness, his ability to get vertical really quickly. His passing's incredible. The ability for him to like get slim, if you will. I'm not talking in a physical sense. That's something that we say when it's like navigating around people is just unmatched. His ball handling is honestly pretty incredible. He just does so much so well. So I think we all just want healthy Zion. That's all we want at the end of the day. 22, Victor Wembanyama, another one from the top 25 under 25. A lot of great young players in the NBA already. That's what I can say. Defensively, already, is he the best? Just like defensive impact in the NBA? Is that what we can call him? Because look, people have just given up on trying to shoot over him. Like it took half an NBA season of him being in the league, and people were like, no, we've all been at that point where we drive to the hoop and a big guy's coming, we kind of stop and try to pivot around him or something like that and try to get a little shot up. No, he started blocking those with his elbow, and so guys would just stop there and they're like, nah, I'm gonna pass that shit out. Like, somebody else can try to deal with that. As he continues to grow and develop in other parts of his game, and the Spurs are already doing a great job of trying to build like a proper team around him. It's going to be a slow process, but you've got your franchise player. He seems like he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's must-watch TV every time he's on with some of the things that he can do with the ball. I'm so excited that I get to live in a time where I get to see the start of this career, because it is truly amazing. Let's go on to Tyrese Maxiell. Just coincidentally, another 25 under 25 guy here. I posed the question in the last video: is there something that Tyrese Maxiell like doesn't do well? I don't think so, besides maybe being taller. Like, is that really like the only deficiency that he has? Like, I like him as a defender. I like him as a shot creator. Like, he's great getting out in transition. He's got great energy. He doesn't need the basketball to thrive. He can fit into, like, we've already seen like 2 or 3 different molds as a player in such a young career. He's getting bigger and stronger and smarter, it seems like, every single game. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I didn't see this level of like development coming out of college with him. So it's incredibly impressive to see it. It's a testament, obviously, to a lot of hard work and dedication, and honestly, just playing with some very non-traditional basketball teams and still getting this far. It's incredible. So I think we're going to see another big jump out of Tyrese Maxiell this season as they continue to kind of put a more well-rounded team around him and Embiid. So I'm really, really excited about it. Next up, we got Devin Booker. I've actually really enjoyed talking about the Suns in recent weeks because, you know, since the Tyus Jones edition, like, he was kind of one of the last like big free agent dominoes to fall. Him going to Phoenix was a little bit of a surprise, even though like it made a lot of sense. I don't know, maybe it wasn't a surprise to me. It seemed like a surprise to a lot of other people, but we got into the conversation then, a lot of us, of being like, how good are the Suns, right? And like, oh, like this team didn't quite work out last season. Obviously, they got swept by Minnesota and everything. And you're like, okay, where can this big three go? And we're going to talk about Devin Booker in a second, but I just want to like make sure we get a couple narratives straight with everything, right? And we'll touch on some of these other people. Kevin Durant's awesome. Bradley Beal had a down season for his standard, but I mean, go look at his stuff, man. Like, dude was pretty good. He got you like 18 points a game on, what was it? It was like 50, 40, 80. So like, relax. And I had a conversation with somebody in the comments actually who was like, hey, like, I need him to be like a little bit better. I'm like, how much better do you want him to be? And they're like, oh, like kind of like 20 to 25-ish points and everything. And I went and did a little analysis, and I went and did a little bit of digging. I'm like, how many NBA teams have actually had 3 20+ a game scores on their team? And we came across it, and the number was 10 teams in NBA history. The most we've ever seen the third best player score on a team is 23 points a game. That was on like the Sonics back in the game. I want to say it was like Xavier Anderson or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, the next couple guys after that were like 24 points a game and 23 as well. The most points per game we've ever seen out of 3 players was like the 17-18 Warriors, 18-19, I can't remember, but it was Durant, Curry, and Klay Thompson. They combined for about 75 points a game. So for that record to not be topped, given Booker and Durant's current production, Beal could score up to 20 points a game. So that should give you some perspective out of like a realistic range that this guy can score. It just doesn't happen, right? Where you have guys score that many points. But Beal still does a lot of things incredibly well. He's still a good basketball player. Y'all can't give up on people after one injury-riddled season. But Devin Booker, he's another one. They go like, not a very good defender. It's like, yes, at points in his career, he's also been a great defender at points in his career. So that means it's subject to team and coaching and surrounding him with things. He's capable of being an incredibly good defender. We're even seeing it in the Olympics right now. Like, that's just something that he brings to the game when you really need him to. So you can question why it doesn't show up all the time, but like, it's totally in there. The entire package can be in there. We know the shot creation is there. You'd hope that the playmaking is a little bit better. That's not really something that's come along a ton in his career, but man, not too many people are colder and more confident than D-Book, man. Some of those scoring outputs that he's put up, incredible. I do think this team can really do some damage this year, and in large part to everything that Booker can do. So let's see where it goes, man. Let's see where it goes. Domantas Sabonis. I love Domantas Sabonis, center for the Kings. He leads probably my favorite offense in the NBA. The Kings like hub style offense is so awesome. I can't tell you how many college teams I've given, like, I basically clipped up a bunch of Kings content and put it together when they've got these like big burly centers that attract so much attention, and I just teach them like hub style offense that the Kings are running with him. It's so impressive everything that he can do. He's such a physically demanding force. Like, you have to keep him off the glass at all times. He's so good at finishing around the rim. He's athletic. He can get out and run if he needs to. He's such a smart passer. He can step out and hit a shot. There's just not much that he can't do, and it's been so exciting to see him and like Fox really like start to figure out this little scheme that they have going on. How do they kind of build the rest of the team around him and DeRozan and everything, and where do they kind of go? It's hard to say. Like, it's hard to bring in more star talent more now than ever, so you kind of have to grow it, and maybe Keegan Murray becomes that for them. But man, Sabonis just does so much so well, and while he's not like the bouncy like shot blocking threat, like the defense still is just so there. Like, you don't want to run into a guy's chest like that. That's almost worse than getting your shot blocked, at least in my opinion. Like, it throws you off your course and everything. But love Domas Sabonis, man. Another guy that does a lot of similar things, Bam Adebayo, but he does it more in the athletic sense than the strong sense. Again, incredibly smart basketball player, elite defender, not as much of the outside shooter, even though we see a little bit in the Olympics or whatever, and Dwayne Wade is absolutely loving it. But man, Bam just gets basketball, man. He just really does. You see him grow and grow and grow. He's a product of Heat culture and everything, where they took this really raw athlete coming out of college and they have just shaped him into an all-around good basketball player. And I continue to just be impressed with like his improved jump shot, his ability to get around the rim and not settle for quite as many mid-rangers, even though I wish he wouldn't settle for quite as many still that he does. He's getting better all the time. Obviously the defense and the playmaking is really, really there at this point in his career. So absolutely love Bam Adebayo, and we'll see where the Heat can go this year, man. I'm curious. Like, a full season of Terry Rozier and Jaime Jaquez like getting better, and maybe Jovic is like a full rotational guy now. I'm curious. Next up, Paul George, Podcast P, my man. I describe Paul George as the all-star role player in the NBA. And what do I mean by that? Like, he's all-star good, but he's like a role player at the same time, because he just kind of does whatever the team needs him to do. And it's really impressive, actually, that he can mold into that. He can handle the ball. He can be an elite defender. He can be a shooter. He can be a go-to scorer. He can be a floor spacer. Like, he does what the team needs at all points, and he just fits where he needs to. There's no like ego on this guy. It seems like he's even said like, hey, I guess I wasn't the best number one option. Like, hell, I'll be the best number 3, number 2 option though. Like, let me tell you that. And like, I'll just do what we need to do to win. That's awesome, right? I think that's going to fit in great with like the Sixers and Embiid and Maxey, and him just playing off of those guys and just being great at what he does. They've been missing that wing for so long. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens when you throw a guy like this around Embiid. I don't know. It sounds like Paul George is very excited to play with him, because he's never had a big dominant center that he can just give the ball to like that. He's played with the likes of Roy Hibbert, Steven Adams, and then Zubats. Just, yeah, different types of players, right? So I'm really, really excited to see him in Philly this year. Who knows how far they can get? They've got some tough opponents ahead of them, but man, playoff P, man. What are they calling him? Like, I don't know. He's wearing number 8 now, so I missed the whole PJ13 or PG-13 thing that he had going on. But Paul George, he can do a little bit of everything. And speaking of someone that can do a little bit of everything, Anthony Davis. Is a blurry ass picture, and that's pissing me off, but whatever. Quality commentary, maybe. I don't know. That's up for you to decide. That's not really anything I can solidify myself. Anyway, Anthony Davis, awesome basketball player, right? Ever since he got to the NBA, he was the benefactor of being on Team USA before he even stepped on an NBA court. Elite, just player, mentality guy. Gets injured quite a bit. People will say he's made of glass. At the end of the day, if he's on the court, man, he's an absolute presence. Defensively, he's a monster. Around the rim, he's a monster. He can step out and hit a shot. It's pretty hard to throw him in a rotation and not just have positive basketball effects at the end of the day. He's an NBA champion, even if it was Mickey Mouse. But no, we give them all the credit in the world. Coming in and not really knowing what position he was going to play and everything, it seems like he's really just kind of found that spot at the center to be where he can be the most productive. I'll be interested to see if like they continue to try to use him more as like a playmaker or something, as they've kind of as they're trying to develop some of this other talent on the team and maybe put the ball in LeBron's hands a little bit less. So I'm just curious to see what like an analytically optimized Anthony Davis looks like. Curious to see what JJ Redick does with him. Kawhi Leonard here at 15, obviously injured a lot. We can say whatever we want about him in that sense and him sitting out. I mean, dude was hurt last year. Like, it's what happened in the playoffs, y'all. Sorry, he got hurt. Like, it happens. I'm personally a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries in my career. I had spinal surgery at 23, 22. I don't know. And I had countless other injuries up to that point. It sucks, man. Like, I like to think I'm a tough dude. It's hard to fight through that shit. Like, I've played through torn ligaments and just about everything. And at some point, your body just gives out, and it's tough, man, because some of us just aren't put together well. But Kawhi, we all have seen it, multiple time NBA champion in a bunch of different situations, has been elite on a lot of teams. This Clippers run hasn't been the greatest. It's not necessarily like his fault per se, but it hasn't been the greatest run for the team. Like, him personally, though, he's had some really great moments where he looks really physically dominant. You even saw at points last year where you went back to him being that number one guy and being that play initiator. You saw just like okay, he can be the creator, he can get everyone else involved in the game, he can step out and hit a shot. He's still one of the best lockdown defenders in the NBA, and just obviously his attitude and everything is intimidating in itself, to where he seems like he just does not give a shit. But no, we really love Kawhi Leonard, everything that he does. Let's just hope he stays healthy. Next up, Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man himself. I imagine, like, this is the face he would make if he saw that I put him on 14 on the list. He's just like, hey, yo, what the fuck? Like, I'm number one. And that's why I love Anthony Edwards so much, because he truly believes he's, like, the best at everything. And those are the kind of dudes that are going to make it the furthest. I promise you they will. Like, you can call it cocky or whatever. I know all of our dads or whatever, like, wish you would just shut up and play basketball. No, I want this. I want the dogs, man. That's what I want at the end of the day. These are the type of dudes that I loved recruiting, especially in like college and stuff. Like, you find these just like really cocky ass dudes, and you put like a little leash on them. All of a sudden, you have a really, really good product. Anthony Edwards continues to develop. Obviously, he had an incredible run with his team this year, really leading them in a lot of different facets. Is he going to be continuing to become like an elite scorer? Is he going to develop that playmaking a little bit more? We've already seen some shot creation come out of him, and Team USA is giving him an even bigger chance right now to be a better ball handler. So that's really exciting, because that's the next progression in his evolution. There's not a ton of ball handling going on the Timberwolves right now anyway, so they need him to develop into that. Is he going to be more of a playmaker? Because there were also times in the Timberwolves offense where they just struggled to get him the basketball. So if he can just be the guy starting off a lot of the offenses, I think you're going to see their kind of slower offense just pick up in a lot of ways. So obviously, Anthony Edwards, one of the most exciting players we have in basketball nowadays, and I want to see them continue to go far. Next up, Donovan Mitchell, though. Donovan Mitchell, one of the best just pure creators that we have in the game up to this point, whether it's setting up his teammates or just going and getting buckets himself. He's one of those dudes where if he's starting to feel himself, well, shit, you're getting 40 put on you tonight. There's nothing anybody can do. He's too quick. He's too athletic. His handle is too tight. He's out there, even despite his size, like being a solid enough defensive player too. Obviously, physics wins at a lot of points, and that's what we see when watching the film more often than not. When he has his defensive moments, it's just like, shit, man, he's small. He's like 6'1". Like, what do you want from him? But what he can do on the basketball court, and we've seen it in the playoffs now a couple times, where he can just completely take over games. Man, it is absolutely special. It's absolutely special, and I'm really curious to see what the Cavs can do, because I don't know what to do with this team. Like, it's a good basketball team. I feel like they're missing like kind of that real like stud 3-and-D wing, or not even stud, but just like real, like for sure, like this is our 3-and-D wing or something. But look, there's only so many of those guys in the NBA, and teams would like to keep them. So how do we make this core work? I don't know, but I want to see it work in some capacity. Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew. Obviously, the finals run and everything, and how good he was. What impressed me the most out of this last season was just the level of defense that he can really get to. And he's like, all right, I'm shutting you down. Like, and he absolutely did that, especially at earlier parts in the playoffs. Obviously, you get to the Celtics and the struggles a little bit and everything. It's like, look, man, the Celtics are just really good. Like, nobody stopped them. Nobody did. So I don't like that argument like, oh, well, the Celtics like shut them down. It's like, yeah, dude, like that's everybody did that. Like that's the Celtics did that to everybody. Like, that's just how it worked. So it's nothing against Kyrie, but obviously still one of the three hardest guards in the NBA probably at this point. Like him, Luka, Shay, those are the hardest three guys in my opinion to stay in front of and to stop from getting a bucket. They're just too creative. And so I'm just glad that Kyrie Irving got that chance to be back in the finals. I think they're continuing to build out this team and go in the right direction. How's it going to work with Klay Thompson on the team, adding just more experience and that threat of an outside shooter like that, hopefully some solid defense still, but even adding guys like Q Grimes and everything, and continuing to build out that combatability. Is that even the right word? Compatibility. What is wrong with me? It's Friday. With like PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, and guys like that. I'm excited to see where he can go as a leader going forward. Absolutely awesome, Kyrie Irving. Jalen Brunson. I love fundamental basketball. You guys know that. Jalen Brunson is fundamental basketball. Much like a Luka Doncic, where there's not maybe a ton of natural athleticism in there, there's a lot of strength. There's a lot of understanding for how to use that strength and weight. He's the definition of just like a big guard. And I'm talking like out wide like this, where he can just put his weight onto you, get to anywhere he needs on the court to get to his spot, get a good shot up, and he's going to make it. Like when he gets cooking, and that's what I can say about a lot of these guys, when they get going, pretty impossible to stop them. But man, Jalen Brunson, did we think he was going to reach these heights? I'm going to be honest with you, I had a hard time not putting him higher on this list, but I'm not going to lie, social pressure kept me from putting him at 10. But he could very well lead his team to a finals run this season. I truly mean that. I think that they could. I don't think that's a stretch by any means of the word, but all the things he can do on the court, being a tough-minded defensive player, going and getting rebounds when he needs to at his size, and just being an absolute walking bucket. Big fan of Jalen Brunson. All right, top 10, y'all. Just bear with me for this one. Just bear with me. Okay, look, I'm a little bit nervous to put this one here. Okay, we're going to do it. 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 It's Joel Embiid. I know. Relax. Just relax for a second. He's a top 10 player in the NBA. That's amazing. I know somebody out there is like, AVC, you're going to hell. Maybe I am, and that's probably for other reasons. But anyway, Joel Embiid, elite basketball talent, right? Why is he not top 5 in my opinion? I think that his lack of mobility is starting to really show and hurt him in certain capacities, not even just offensively, but defensively, and it's putting a cap on the Sixers. I don't think that's crazy to say. Did he play like an MVP type candidate last year? Did he drag a team that had no business being that good to being that good? Yes. When you get into playoff settings, is it pretty easy to game plan for? Yes. But is Joel Embiid one of the best players we have in the NBA? Yes, as well. Just putting my opinion out there, all right? We all know everything Joel Embiid can do defensively, protecting the rim, just being a really strong force, not being scared of really anybody. Some people will say Jokic, but no, I don't necessarily believe that. The fouls are starting to get a little bit high, but again, I think that's a mobility thing. Hopefully, as he starts to get back into shape from his injuries and everything, hopefully that improves. The outside shot, the ability to just get where he needs to on the court because of his size and strength, finishing around the rim, obviously the ability to just put a whole team on his back and carry them for miles and miles is incredible. He's just one of the most physically imposing players we've seen in the NBA, and he continues to impress me. I just hope that they can continue to find a way to help him better fit with the talent that they're putting around him. I like the team that they're building, so let's hope it keeps going in the right direction. On to number 9, Jaylen Brown, our most recent finals MVP. Obviously, we know like some things like the ball handling and some of the shot decisions and stuff like that are still like a little bit wonky at times, but I think we need to give him credit for like the elite defender he is, like especially like going into like the finals and everything. Like you could tell he's just sitting in his stance, like staring right at someone and being like, there is no shot you're getting by me. And he locked him up and it looked easy. He's just moving the feet, putting his hands in the operating area of the offensive player, taking that ball from him, ripping it from him. His ability to hit like impactful shots and get impactful like okay, we're not getting anything, I'm getting to the hoop and making something happen in some capacity is it's complemented really well, by the way, by Drew Holiday, who's great at then cleaning up a mess if that happens. I think that's a really underrated part of the Celtics' success and everything is his willingness to just go be crazy and try to make something happen when they need to, and Drew's ability to clean it up I think is a crazy combo because they complement each other well in that sense. But his ability to step out and hit clutch shots, his toughness and his aggressiveness, some might say his aura. Am I too old to say that? Probably. I'm 25. Yeah, is that how old I am? 25? Yeah, there we go. But obviously, the finals MVP and everything, we give a lot of credit to Jaylen Brown and everything that he does. He's a really good compliment to Jayson Tatum, in my opinion. So Really, really excited to see where this team goes. How many championships can they win? Hard to say, but let's keep talking about it with Jayson Tatum. Obviously, kind of the true face of this team, if you will. He's been there from the beginning, ever since he dunked on Braun that first season. I was like, oh, yep, it's going to be a thing for him. Is he corny sometimes? Yeah, but so am I in a lot of ways, so who really cares? I just think some of the things that he's able to do is incredible. I think, and this is a comparison I've been telling people, he's like in his prime. He's a prime version of Paul George right now. What does that mean? All-star role player. He is able to do anything you ask of him, and it is totally fine by him. You need him to go get rebounds, he goes and gets rebounds. You need him to be a playmaker, he's like, I'll get you 12 assists tonight. You need him to be a scorer, he can go be a scorer. He can go do all that stuff. Like, you need him to be a slasher, floor spacer, defender, he can do all of it. And there's not like games where he's like being like, okay, I'm doing absolutely everything. It's more so like, what does the team need me to do tonight to win the basketball game? I'm going to get it done at an elite level, because he can do everything at an elite level. I know there's a lot of Jayson Tatum kind of side talk and everything at times, but like, the dude's incredible. They just won a finals, and it is not like it's because of him in a lot of ways, not the other way around. He did everything the team ever asked of him, was completely incredible. Number 7, LeBron James. At this point in his career, to even be number 7 is a testament to the greatness that is LeBron. You know, I was doing a bit of thinking, especially when I did the last Olympic video that I did, which was the one against South Sudan. I was thinking and reflecting a lot about my childhood, and I'm like, man, I just couldn't stand this guy growing up. Not like any actual off the court hate. I'm just like, I'm so sick of, as a Bulls fan, running into this guy all the time, and he just ruins everything for me. So I feel like I didn't really get to enjoy a lot of that stuff because, I was suffering that whole time, and now the Bulls are just irrelevant and not in the way of anything, and LeBron isn't in the Bulls' way of succeeding anymore. He's in other people's way. But I'm just glad that for these last however many years we have of LeBron, I get to watch it. I just get to enjoy the fact that we're watching greatness unfold. It's great to see him in the Olympics right now. He still does so many things at a high level. I hope that JJ Redick takes the ball out of his hands a little bit more and lets him be just a really smart off-ball player or spacer that can become a cutter and stuff, because that has gravity in its own sense. So if we can start to do that and let Reeves and D'Lo kind of run the show with AD a little bit more, let LeBron save the legs a little bit, I don't know. I think you still have one of the best players in the NBA because he can continue to be that secondary ball handler that keeps the offense moving. We know how smart he is. We know how good of a defender he can be when he needs to lock in and just needs to go get some buckets. It's elite. But if we're talking about buckets, doesn't get much better than Kevin Durant at this point. Kevin Durant, the ultimate just hooper. I'll go ahead and say greatest offensive player of all time. That's my call on it. Feel free to debate it. I don't think there's a way to stop him. He just knows how to hit a shot from every single point. There's times where he's running up the court where I'm like, yep, that's going up. And the guy that's guarding him is like, yep, this is going up. And he just goes and gets the bucket. And I remember Paulo Banchero talking about it on a podcast once where he was like, my welcome to the NBA moment was I was guarding KD and I was like, yeah, I'm getting him to the spots I'm trying to get him or whatever. And I looked up and he had 36 points of no layups or free throws, just pure buckets over me. And it's like, that's what Durant can do. And the craziest thing is he can miss half a season with a torn ACL or something like that. Come back first game, score 40 points. It doesn't even matter. This is just what he does. He eats, sleeps, and drinks basketball. That's just what he does. One of the purest hoopers we've ever had, and just so good at what he does. Where can this Phoenix Suns team go? I hope that they're just a solid playoff team this year because they've hopefully patched some of the holes that they had. But man, Kevin Durant, man, I don't need to explain it anymore. Do I need to explain this one to you guys? This is Steph Curry. He's really good at basketball, not just because he can hit stupid shots or have some crazy handles and play really good bump defense with Draymond Green. Even if he's not the best on-ball defender, he's really good at bump defense. Look into it if you don't know what I'm talking about. His impact without the ball is something that we've never seen out of another player. He changed the game of basketball for forever, right? We all know that he's ruined kids' jump shots for forever because they're trying to take half-court shots at 5 years old on 10-foot hoops. It's whatever. But his ability to move without the basketball, set screens for other people, and then know where to go himself, using his gravity to let other people get open. He does it even in the Olympics and everything. That Warriors offense is him at the end of the day. It's him creating so much of this stuff and having smart people around him that know how to play off it as well. It's really impactful. It's really special. Where are they going to go this year? I'm scared to say that I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs, but I don't know. Like, I hope they kind of try to figure this out, because, and that's why I wish they would have just let the Klay Thompson thing go, man. Like, just bring him back. Like you have a better shot with Klay Thompson than without him at the end of the day. And I don't know. I wish that Steph would be able to like really get a really good go at it, like to kind of end his career while he's still really dominant. So maybe they'll find a way still, but not seeing it for the time being. Starting to get into some new names now. Shay Gilgeous-Alexander. I always tell people I watched this guy in high school, and I was recruiting at one point, when he was in high school, I should say, because I was recruiting one of his teammates. And I was just like, God damn, like this dude's tough or whatever. Like really, really impressive basketball player. Did I think he would get this good? No, I did not. His ability to just be so able to read his defender. We talk a lot about counter moves and stuff on this channel. Counter moves are basically like, hey, I'm hitting you with something. The defense knows where I'm going, so I hit you with a counter move to counter them, right? And it becomes a game of chess. It's him and like Luka, right? Those are the two best chess players we have in the game. His ability to just hit timely shots, calm, cool, collected. Like, is there really anybody outside of maybe like Durant and like maybe Luka? I might even take Shay over Luka, just because like I think because he has a lot more like quickness and athleticism than Luka does, that he's like, okay, I see I want to get to that spot on the court. I'm going to just get there real quick and then I'm going to make this shot. If it's a tie game with 10 seconds left and Shay's got the ball, I'm like, oh, you've already lost. Like, you might as well just like foul them or something like that and try to get a shot back. But no, everything that Shay does is incredible. He's the core of this Thunder team that I think is just going to be prevalent for a long time now. So I'm very lucky that we get to, we should say that we are very lucky that we get to see the rise of this guy. Getting into our top three now, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously wasn't as talked about this last season, but do I really need to explain it? The Greek Freak, he just does it, right? Like him and Dame didn't quite mesh in their first season. Seems like a lot of internal kind of strife and conflict, not even like because it's him or anything. It's just a lot of other confusion around the Bucks organization and their want to pay like 4 coaches at a time during one season has caused some issues with like what should be a relatively simple game plan, in my opinion, for at least offensively, and then trying to put a competent defense around him where he's the anchor point is a big thing. But obviously Giannis's defensive impact is pretty noticeable, I would say, is the best way to put it. And still, there's not really a way to guard this guy just because of his sheer, just raw athleticism. He's probably just the best athlete in the NBA. So there's really nothing you can do if he has the basketball and he wants to get to the rim, obviously. Jump shot's not quite there, but again, like Zion, doesn't really matter. So Giannis still just one of the most unguardable people, and I get the feeling that this is going to be a Shaq type situation where nobody ever quite figures out what to do about him. He just at one point gets old and goes away. So that's Giannis. All right, another guy from our 25 under 25, though. Luka Doncic, we talked about it there. The only issue with Luka Doncic is what's going on up here. And I'm not talking about the mean mugger, the haircut, even though my boy could probably use a slightly adjusted haircut. I'm not saying mine's perfect, but you know what it is at the end of the day. It's just the attitude, right? Like, we love the killer instinct and everything. If he just hit a mean shot, we love this face and everything. It's when he's making this face at the refs. Otherwise, dude's it, right? He's cold, he's mean, like he wants to beat you, he wants to embarrass you, and he has the skill to do so. His strength and like skill, we saw that he can be the defensive player that the team needs him to be this playoff run and everything. Like, he answered all the questions for us. It's just mental now. Now that he's going into this season where like should be in like his prime right now, right? We're starting to enter Luka prime. Can you be mentally prime and like mature and everything? Because we just know he does everything else. This boy is cold-blooded. He is awesome. Love Luka Doncic, man. And then number 1, the Joker. Is there anything anybody can do to stop this guy? No. I've seen some of the stats for like the Olympics with like him on the court versus off the court for Serbia is like obscene. Like, he basically played even basketball with Team USA while he was on the court. So just nuts that he can kind of do that with just playing with like Bogdanovic. And who else did they have on the team? They had somebody else that was like somewhat of an NBA player in some capacity. But anyway, we all know how great Jokic is. Dude's the best player in the world. It's just not even a question. We talk about like athleticism and stuff like that, and I always tell people, I'm like, no, like, he's a good athlete. I'm like, quick hands, quick reflexes, just not an explosive athlete. Like, he's not fast. He's not going to just jump up and dunk on you. I'm like, dude's a good athlete, though. Like, there's just other components to that stuff. So that's just my opinion at the end of the day, though. Jokic is awesome, and that is my top 25 list. You guys feel free to agree, disagree, tell me what you think down below. I think it's a fun list. I had fun just kind of throwing this stuff together at like really early points in the morning. Be on the lookout. Go watch my channel update video, just because there's a lot going on right now, and I want to make sure you guys are getting the content that you deserve at the end of the day, so be on the lookout for that. And by the way, I am going to show you my honorable mentions and everything. Don't worry, we will get there. Don't click off the video yet. Don't. But yeah, no, so make sure you guys go watch like the update video and everything, just to see kind of where I'll be and like where content will be, because I'm going to start to put out what I think is some cool content, so be on the lookout for it. But yeah, let's go look at the honorable mentions. All right, my honorable mentions here: Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray, Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young. All right, that's the end of the video. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye.